call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Reese,
Here.
Councilmember Osk,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Davis,
Here.
Schultes,
Here.
Fagerly,
Here.
Osmus,
Here.
Butterfield,
Here.
and O'Brien.
Here.
9 present, 0 absent.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mayor Reese, I'd offer a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Discussion? Questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Osk.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Schultes.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 noes.
That passes. Next is the consent items, and I'll call on our city clerk, Renee Larson, to review them.
Mayor Reese, council members, for your consideration this evening, I have the City Council minutes of December 2nd, 2024, the Municipal Utility Commission meeting minutes of December 9th, 24, Planning Commission minutes of December 4th, 24 meeting, the Willmar Police Commission meeting minutes of November 4th, 24, reappointments to the boards and commissions, the State of Minnesota lease amendment, consideration of designating polling places for elections in 2025, a resolution adopting the 2025 fee schedule, approve criminal prosecution services for 25 through 27, Safe Assure Consultant Safety Program Agreement, Candiota County Firefighter Honor Guard Lawful Gambling Application, resolution designating the ARPA funds to Candiota County Housing and Redevelopment Authority Housing Trust Fund, Police Department Squad Car Purchase Order, the accounts payable report from 11/27/24 through 12/11/24. And for your information, I have the Willmar Municipal Utilities financial report for October of 24, the financial report through 11/30/24, and the director's reports.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Audrey.
Just a request to pull H and to review the planning and development section, I think is where most of the questions are. Or most of the changes.
Okay. Anything else, Rick?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull item I. Prosecution.
Anything else? We've got a motion to approve everything else. Roll call.
Councilmember Nelson.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Schultes.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
And Osk.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 noes.
That passes. We'll call on Audrey, resolution adopting the 2025 fee schedule.
Just asking if staff could walk through and do a clarification. There's lots of new line items on there, and I'm just curious about some of the changes, development escrow, and just lots of new categories. And I think they're making some changes in how they're doing it. And just wondered if staff would like to walk through so we have a better understanding of it.
Councilperson Nelson, members of council, and Mr. Mayor, just to address the planning and development fee schedule, the proposed fee schedule for 2025. What is being presented in red is not necessarily new fees. These are fees that lived in the ordinance, and we're pulling those out just to give more fee transparency. The scope dependent is the development fee that we collect upfront when we do a TIF or any larger projects. They may have to have a multiple public process. And so that's a fee that we collect from developers, and that way we aren't paying for mailing and other incidentals from that. The other ones that you do see a strike through for conditional use permit, it was 2 fees for $350 and then one for $46. So we just round that up and gave it a clear 400 for recording as well.
Anything else, Audrey?
Maybe just to go on the residential, there seems to be a lot of new or commercial plan review too.
Mhm. Again, those are fees that are mandated from the state. Our building official already charged those, and one way that we can just be upfront and transparent is by listing those on the fee schedule. And so we took time to do so. Once the zoning code is updated, the fees will come out of the ordinance and it will live on the fee schedule. And our zoning code will reference the fee schedule for future development.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. And I can make a motion to approve the, is it H, the fee
H.
schedule?
Second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the resolution adopting the 2025 fee schedule. Roll call.
Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Schultes,
Aye.
Fagerly,
Aye.
Osmus,
Aye.
Butterfield,
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Oss,
Aye.
and Nelson.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 noes.
That passes. On Councilmember Rick Fagerly for item 8, item I, the criminal prosecution services for 2025-2027.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just wondering, did the city get any proposals from anybody else?
No,
No?
no, the firm that had asked about it had decided that they, at this time, things had changed in their office. So they were not gonna submit a proposal.
Okay, did we check with Candy County? Because I know one year they did a bid, they would do it.
No, we did not check with Candioi County.
Because, I mean, the fees are getting pretty high here, 270,000.
They did drop it they did drop it 2,500 a month too, from their
From the original
original.
proposal, yeah. And then 300,000 for 2026,
Mhm.
330,000 for 2027. So would it behoove us to maybe look to have our own attorney hire? Because we
That's
also
up to
have,
the council if you would like to do that.
yeah, because we also have to pay the other attorney sitting next to you. So
Yeah.
we're talking $500,000 a year or more. So just a
We
question.
certainly can look into it.
I'll make a motion to approve item I.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Councilmember Fagerly,
Aye.
Osmus,
Aye.
Butterfield,
Aye.
O'Brien,
Aye.
Oss,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
and Schultes.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 noes.
That passes. Next is the open forum. We don't have anybody. We'll go on to regular business and call on the Nordic Ski Club. Forrest Peterson, you're going to present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm Forrest Peterson. I'm representing the Willmar Nordic Ski Club. We have several of our members here tonight. We also have a group from Willmar Bikes who are also supporting this recreational use of this land that we're going to talk about. Basically, I have a few slides with some background on what's been going on there for the past couple of decades. And I guess basically too, as a group, we'd be in support of there's been discussed a possible joint powers agreement between the city and the state about possible city involvement in recreational use of that. Definitely strongly in support of that. But I have a few slides with some background about the property and take any questions, provide any information you care to find out. Let's see, Kyle, you just have to hit the PowerPoint icon there. Where are we here? Okay, you have council members. You got these slides in your packet. I didn't really add one slide, some pictures primarily. So for members of the public, get a chance to see some of this as well. Basically, for the past over 2 decades, we've been using this land for cross-country skiing, and I guess people walk there in the summertime as well. We did have authorization through when the Willmar Regional Treatment Center was here, we approached them asking that if we could use this land for our ski trails, and they figured out a way to do that. They had made several of us state hospital volunteers. So we signed forms and we even kept track of our time, but we went out and cleared the trails and started using that for skiing. So that's basically how that all started. And then later on, I think it was in 2002, we actually formed the Willmar Nordic Ski Club and been active in that way ever since. So it's
Forrest,
yes.
get a little closer to
Oh,
the mic.
sorry. So yeah, that's just a picture. That's actually that picture there is along 71 there. A couple of people skiing there on the left. If you see those trees planted there, that's a windbreak that we planted actually with a grant from the NUC through the city to do that. So that's how that worked. That's an aerial view of the area. If you're familiar with that, you're probably, I'm sure, talked about this over the years, but it's kind of gets unnoticed by people as you're driving by on 71, but it's about 60 acres of land. And a little zoom in a little bit. There's the state cemetery there, and they've done quite a bit of improvements in that in the past year. If you've been out there, they put a new fence, a new gate, and then they put up a very nice sign identifying all of the graves that are there. So it's a very nice improvement. There's some areas of native oak there, and there's one that I think is probably about 200 years old. And it's a couple of areas, one in the north, and then in the south of some just beautiful native oak trees that would be very nice to preserve. And that's just north of the golf course there. A couple of pictures upper left there. That looks a lot nicer now. The gate to the old the cemetery, and then there's an old monument that they had some interpretive signage on years ago. In the lower left, that's a picture of there's just tons of concrete that have been dumped over the bank on the north end. The place where the highway department put a lot of old concrete. And then on the lower right, there's the ruins of what was a 60-foot diameter trickling filter that basically was the water treatment for the state hospital many years ago. So much improved now. That's just a little map of a rough sketch of what our trails look like. And as you can see on the south that's the golf course. We've had a great relationship with the golf course over the years. They allow space in their sheds for us to store our equipment. And even years ago when the city owned grooming equipment, we would groom trails out there. They would allow us to have trails on the golf course as long as we stayed off the greens. But and then to the north there we had our other trails. So we have probably about 5 kilometers of ski trails out there, which is really great. And it's very suitable for beginner type skiers too. It's not real challenging like Sibley. And it's close to town, obviously, so it's been a great resource. Just lists a couple of things that have been going on over the years. And I used to formerly, I worked for the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, so I did have a staffer from our solid waste division come out, and we just kind of walked the area to make sure it didn't look like there was any like toxic waste there, but there's a fair amount of solid waste that's been dumped over the bank over the years. And then we founded our ski club. Our early years focused on some fundraising, and we bought some equipment, grooming equipment, a big snowmobile, and we found one up in Canada and with some grooming equipment, and we did that. So we were pretty active in those early years. The DNR, we contacted the DNR. We needed some improvements in some areas of the trail and so they came in with the blade and kind of leveled some areas out. And then I mentioned previously the windbreak that was installed. So that's a little bit of background. And as I mentioned, we'd be strongly in support of any kind of a joint powers agreement if that were to happen. Have some real nice visions about what could be used in that land going forward. And then there's a real strong economic and social value of open space as well, as we all know that. So a couple more pictures. We've had a number of events there over the years. It's been a lot of fun. We had a couple years, we promoted these community ski events. We'd invite people to come out and be introduced to cross-country skiing. It's a great sport in the wintertime. The only challenge sometimes can be the weather. As we know, last year we didn't have any snow. I did get out there once on about a little bit of snow just to do it, but in the bottom pictures are our grooming equipment that the club owns. Actually, the one on the lower left, that roller, was actually built by the people at the golf course for us. They found a big piece of culvert and actually built that for us. So that was a great addition. So, a couple more pictures. The groom trails you see are actually on the golf course, but in the lower left there, that was this fall. That's our high school cross-country ski coach, Brad Haugen, out there with his tractor mowing. We have volunteers who did all of the work on the trail mowing and improvement. Fred Hund was on our group. He got out there with his mower, and we've all kind of helped out with that. So it's been all volunteer work over all these years with developing and maintaining and grooming the trails. This is the slide that's not in the one in your packets. I just added that. What we had when the cropland was farmed for a number of years, and then that was no longer being farmed. And what happened is invasive box elders started just springing up all over the place, and that could have been a problem that they were allowed to keep growing. So actually, I believe it was the county went in and actually mowed all the box elders, so we got rid of those. So that was a big help. But there's about roughly 20 acres of former cropland now that now we've been able to use some of that for added some trail segments to that. So that's been very nice. On the left is just one picture that I took at Sibley. That's what it could look like as a restored prairie, some of the open spaces. And that just tells a little bit about some potential resources if there are any restoration, prairie restoration. There's some really nice native areas in there. As I mentioned earlier, the oak, it's kind of an oak savanna area, an oak savanna prairie area, and it could be restored very nicely, but yet still allowing space for recreation, for bike trails. And as I'm sure you're all aware, there's grant money available and so on. There's a couple of examples from Dakota County. And then David Moody, who is our club secretary, would be volunteering. He could be happy to help work on any any information or whatever on any grants or anything like that. The banner on the right you see is city involvement with prairie restoration in our parks that you're aware of. I wasn't aware of that until I was out at Prairie Pothole Days and I saw that banner. I thought, that's great. So took a picture of it. And so there you've got about 20 acres total from all the various parks that restoration is being done. So there's a lot of resources there, and SWCD, as you know, and also I'm familiar with the Hawk Creek Watershed Project. This is actually within Hawk Creek. They have funding available as well, as long as it's close to water. There's Swan Lake, there's gullies and things like that, flowing into Swan Lake. So there's potential for some work there as well. So. Okay, and that's just a listing of our members. And we really appreciate the opportunity to present this information with our ski club. And then also, as I mentioned, the Willmar Bikes group is here. So we believe there's a lot of public support for something like this. I think it's a great potential with pretty minimal cost. And we have evidence of strong volunteer support and effort on this that's been going on. So again, we appreciate the opportunity to present the information, and would strongly support any kind of a joint powers agreement with the state to further develop this as a public recreational resource. So if you have any questions or anything, I'd be happy to.
So that would be this next step that you would like for joint powers agreement?
Well, if the city is interested in becoming involved, in furthering any kind of a restoration, like you've done in the parks, with the trail development. We would continue whatever happens with our club and our efforts to providing cross-country ski trails in the wintertime. And then as well, there's people hike and bike, through there year round. So if there's any interest in the city to become more involved, but yet we would continue to do what we're doing, is what I'm saying. But there's potential for more development. I think the big thing is, from my experience and background, is the prairie restoration. There's a great potential for that, and there's some upfront costs. But once you do that, it's pretty minimal maintenance. And so
over the years, I recall a number of times that we've considered different options of what to do with that property. And I remember when Midwest campus came to be, that property was identified, and we could have bought it for $1 at that time. But I don't think we did anything. You got any questions for us? Carl.
I don't necessarily have a question for you. I think this is a great thing. And I appreciate what all of you do there. I don't know, I guess, exactly what it is you're asking of us.
Well, as I mentioned, in my vision, sees a very nice further public recreational development. So that request is the joint powers agreement, the city and the state. And there has document, I believe, has been drafted. We have had some input on that, but there's been a lot of discussion and ideas over the years about that property. I know the state's tried to sell it several times. This got back on the radar just a couple of years ago when the MnDOT had it surveyed and they were ready to sell it, but we found out MnDOT really didn't own the land. It was Department of Human Services owned the land. So it's been looked at as far as residential or commercial development. I guess, in my opinion, how that land has been used in the past and with what is there in terms of various areas of solid waste and things like that, it's best just to leave that lie covered up and use the rest for recreation, because we're not going to get any more open space for recreation. And it's, as the city grows around it, and it's, it's ideally suited for that. And it could there could be the county has their trail that they improved along that golf course road. It'd be there's actually the old highway used to go through there. So there's kind of a roadbed to put a bike trail link from that up to is it 15th Avenue? I'm not sure. I remember the name of that, but so there's a lot of potential there for that. So
What would you have to do money-wise to get this done? Or is it just,
well, there's a previous slide there that those are just some examples and those numbers of acreage and the cost. And this is some information that Dave Moody had researched, but and then I actually once had Ryan Peterson from the SWCD out, and he looked at it, and as far as once the upfront costs of getting it ready, it's pretty minimal. So ongoing, I know we've had some discussions about whose responsibility would it be to continue the trail clearing and mowing and grooming and all that. That we would continue to do that as we have, so that would continue. But
that's what I was looking for.
yeah, that we're gonna
Limited amount of investment.
Yeah, the really is pretty minimal if even if there were something done by the further. But for what's going now, we're going to continue to do that. We raise funds. We work pretty closely with the high school cross country ski team. That's really our main mission now, is supporting the high school team and providing these trails for them and the public. But we're going to just continue to do that. So
Okay, I'm going to call on our city attorney, Robert Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I think it'd be helpful, just as I understand it, to give you a quick overview of how this would be structured as it's been presented, I think. So this is a state-owned property that we're talking about, apparently managed by DHS. And my understanding is the state is receptive to continuing this arrangement, continuing to facilitate this recreational use of its property. But it is seeking to kind of formalize that arrangement. And I can't speak for the state at all, but my suspicion is that it's much easier bureaucratically for the state to approve something like this with another government unit. So what's been proposed is that the state would enter into a joint powers agreement with the city. In that agreement, the city would be responsible to the state for the maintenance of the trails on this property, for maintaining them in a safe condition, for maintaining them in a state and having them be open to the public for public recreation. That's a public benefit the state recognizes. As between the city and the city would be responsible for all of that under this agreement. And then I think what's contemplated is there would be a second agreement between the city and the Nordic Ski Club, for the Nordic Ski Club to essentially perform those services that the city just agreed to be responsible to the state to perform. So there's really, I think, if the city were interested in participating in this and facilitating this, it would be the city signing an agreement with the state to be responsible for essentially managing this recreational facility on the property, and then it would be entering into an agreement directly with the Nordic Ski Club for the Nordic Ski Club to be performing the actual trail maintenance. And essentially it would be passing through the city's obligations to the state to the ski club.
So what do we have to do as the council to move this forward, if we so desire?
Well, the request of the city is to approve a joint powers agreement. I don't believe that's on the agenda for approval tonight. So I think it would just be direction to staff at this point to proceed with the joint powers agreement. And at the same time, we would then prepare the agreement directly with the ski club. And I would expect we would want to bring both of those forward for approval, for consideration and possible approval at the same meeting.
Okay. All right, Carl,
I think it's a great thing. I think we should go ahead and do this.
you're making a motion?
Well, I can't make a motion, I don't think, but
No.
it's just to direct staff to proceed.
Okay. Audrey?
I I don't completely understand, are they a legal entity? Would they have employees that would be responsible? Or are these volunteers that are doing these things? We would not own the land. The joint powers agreement just is designating that we're going to take care of the land. I'm confused with the legalities of it and also what Public Works would be responsible for. What would be the cost of the city to do this? I mean, with that versus, they've got a great organization. They've been working with volunteers. I just don't know when you change the legal structure like that, if you can now be dependent on volunteers.
Yeah, Councilmember Nelson, I think those are all great questions. I can't speak for the ski club on your organization, perhaps, for us.
Well, we are a legal nonprofit organization.
Okay.
In good standing with the state. We've been that way for over 20 years. So,
But you don't have employees.
no. I mean, we have board members and so forth. But no, we're not. We don't have employees, but we are a not-for-profit corporation, the state. So we do have some legal standing there. But we'd be certainly willing to enter into any kind of a agreement with the city to ensure that we, uphold our end of the deal as far as the maintenance and that type of thing. So
I guess I just have a lot of questions about the legal structure and who'd be responsible for insurance and kind of the safekeeping of both for it to be a safe place to walk and ride and if it's the city land or city responsibility. So I have lots of questions before I'd say that we could, that we should be. I think there's questions that we need answered before we can make a decision.
All right, Tom?
I'm in agreement with Carl. I think we should have the city look into the joint power agreement, get that thing moving forward so we can move forward with it. I think it's a win-win for everybody, not only the ones using it now, but later on in the future, more kids may be getting into it. I think it's a thing for the city to look into and get working on that.
I like that we've got a group that is passionate about this and is willing to get their hands dirty. And we don't have to spend any money. Mike?
Forrest, I thought you retired.
my third career.
This doesn't surprise me that you're involved in this. This is a great project. And I totally agree with the rest that have talked. And it's a great project. It's a great place for the adults and the kids to share. And I know we've looked at this before. So I just thank you and your club.
So we can just, do you want to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question as to, I know Mr. Scott said that he wouldn't speak for the state. I don't know if anyone else on our staff would like to speak for the state, but the state's interest in a joint power over selling the land to the city. Why do we want a joint powers agreement rather than just owning the land if the state would be interested in selling it or they're not interested in selling it?
It's my understanding they won't sell it.
Well, they approached the council years ago.
That was Department of Transportation, and it's the Health and Human Services that owns the property.
And this was, I remember maybe 2 years ago that we approached them and asked that question.
We checked into it again,
Okay.
at least 3 years ago.
They're interested in a joint powers agreement, but they don't want to sell it.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so we turn it over to staff and to research the joint powers agreement. Is that right? Okay. No motion. We're just directing staff. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you. Forrest. Thank you, Ski Club. All right.
we'll move on. Testimony for liquor license violation. Brene, city clerk.
Mayor and Council, tonight pursuant to Municipal Code Section 3-10, minimal penalties for violations of state or city ordinances resulting from the sale of alcoholic beverages. The last alcohol compliance check resulted in 3 violations of on-sale liquor license establishments. I have 3 establishments here tonight who did not pass their checks. So they are being called upon as first-time violators to speak to the council regarding what measures they'll be taking to eliminate future violations. The first group organization I would like to call on is Two Night LLC, doing business as Giovanni's Pizza. Please come to the podium and state who you are.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Andrew Knight. I am with Giovanni's Pizza, and I am one of the co-owners, and my name is listed on the application form for the alcohol or the sale of alcohol. My business partner here, Jen Swenson, is with me. What we have done since our violation is we have made it a point to kind of re-educate our employees on what they should be doing when people come in requesting alcohol, to be smart about who they're talking to and everything like that, and be sure to card. No matter if you have any question whatsoever, you should be carding them. And then we went through which was a very daunting process, oddly enough, to find calendars. Those, you see them at liquor stores. You must be this age to purchase alcohol or cigarettes. That was not an easy feat for some reason, but we managed to not only get 1, but 2, but 3 of them. And 2 were donated to us just by random chance, just asking the right questions. So now we have 3 calendars right at our front counter stating that you have to be this age to purchase alcohol with the current dates on it. And 2 of them are digital, and 1 of them is an analog that we switch daily. And for the 5 years that we have had a liquor license at Giovanni's Pizza, every year we kind of sit back and go, okay, is this something that we would like to continue to do moving forward? Because of, I think it's April 25th is when those are renewed, or when they're renewed. And we're kind of getting to that point where we got to start thinking about renewing again, and we have come to the decision, because we've kind of been, is it really worth continuing? Well, today we decided that today would be a good day to decide that we will not be renewing our liquor license anyhow. So until our liquor license run out, we will continue to emphasize carding all customers with the purchase of alcohol, and utilizing the 21-year-old calendars that we have been provided in the meantime until our current application runs out on the 25th in August 25th of 2025.
Julie?
Did any of your employees ever go through the alcohol education?
Just some of the owners have. We do have a list of classes available, and a lot of our employees, this is their second job. So they're going from their 9-to-5 job and then working 5 to 9 with us. So there's not a whole lot of time for them to take out of their busy days to go to that. And some of them are high school students, which they're not allowed to do it anyway. So if someone does request alcohol and they're not of age to be serving it anyhow, they have to go get a staff member that is of age to be able to verify that. And again, most of our of age staff, this is their second job. And the ones that do this as a full-time, which is basically my business partner and I, we're the ones that have gone through the classes. Our spouses have also gone with us on this, because on the very rare occasion that they're in, so they've had it as well.
Can you tell us about the actual violation itself and what happened that day?
Well, we had 2 staff members on at that moment in time, and one was out cleaning the dining room, and he had noticed 2 young gals walking up to the door of the establishment. And he had said to the other one, he goes, hey, if they ask for alcohol, make sure you card them. They don't look like they're of age. And the other employee either didn't hear him or simply ignored it. That part was not made clear to us, but one said to the other, they do not look like they are of age. Be sure to card them if they ask. And they asked, and he did not card. And he admitted it to us almost immediately and offered up his resignation, which we did not take. Okay.
Anybody else? All right, well, Renee, where do we go from here?
Currently,
This is it.
their only requirement is to explain to the council what their measures are to prevent this from happening again, being it's a first offense.
It's our opportunity to shame on you.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, we kind of took it as one of those, we've been clean for 5 years. I mean, and that was our first one. And we didn't, to be honest with you, we didn't want to be here right now. So we were really hoping that our staff would have followed direction and have carded, because the last thing we want to do on a Monday evening is stand here going with our tail between our legs going, yep, sorry, our staff didn't do what they were told. So.
Thank you for coming.
Yep. Thank you for hearing me.
All right.
The second establishment, who is now going to present to the council for a first-time violation, is Tapatio LLC, doing business as El Tapatio Mexican Restaurant.
So I'm translating.
Get up to the microphone.
Oh, I'm translating for him. I'm not too sure what we're here for. I know it's like a liquor violation, but besides that, I'm not too sure. No, yo sé, pero porque como I just don't know what to say. Like we know why we're here, but like further than that, like I'm not too informed on like what we're supposed to say. Like, do you guys want me to explain what happened the day of? ¿Qué pasó cuando pasó el día? No, yo sé, pero ¿qué pasó? Ya le vendieron el cuadro. Pero dame más detalles. ¿Cómo ocurrió? No estaba yo ahí. So he's saying that the day of the violation, that one of our waitresses like forgot to card a girl that she thought was of age, and on the time or the day of, he wasn't working, so he wasn't informed till a later date. Tenemos más de 7 años que no. He's saying that this is our first time in 7 years that this has happened.
What are you going to do to avoid this?
Dice, ¿qué vamos a hacer para entrenarlos y mandarlos a clases? He's saying that we've been doing training and that they're in the process of entering alcohol, like those classes for that.
Yeah. The police department does training.
Yeah, that's like he says that I'm not sure what classes exactly. He's saying that he's getting them into the program and the steps to get to that.
Okay. Right. Julie?
as owners, have they ever explained to the staff what the driver's license looks like
Yes.
when somebody is not of age and how simple it is to see?
Yes.
Okay. They just didn't card at all.
Yeah, no, it was like from what I've heard, it's just she asked for it and she was like, "Oh, okay, you look of age." Like how I would assume that you're of age is what I'm getting from the story.
Okay. And did we check to see if this is the first violation in the last 7 years?
Before.
I believe so. Mike, did you follow up on that?
Say that part again.
Is this the first violation in the last 7 years?
The last violation they had was in 2019, April of 2019.
Okay. Okay. I knew they had one before. I just didn't know when. Okay.
Anything else? Audrey?
So does this still qualify as a first violation if they had one in 2019?
Yes, because they reset after 3 years.
3 years. Thank you.
All right, well, take the training and be diligent in checking the driver's license. All right?
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good night now. Yeah, thank you, guys.
The third establishment to speak on behalf of their first violation is Golden Palace Restaurant Incorporated, doing business as Golden Palace Restaurant.
Good evening.
My name is May. I working for Golden Palace.
Pull the microphone down to your mouth.
Thank you. That's too short. Last time our employee checked the ID after the customer asked for alcohol, but did the wrong math calculation. To prevent this from happening in the future, we start handing out a day of the minimum day the consumer should be in order to the serve the alcohol. This will make it easy for employee to double check the day and eliminate the possible of calculation the age wrong. So we're going to handle the day so for employee easy for calculation for the age. So we'll pay more attention to prevent this will not happen again.
Are you gonna do the training?
Oh yeah.
Talk to our police chief. Make arrangements. Yes, Julie.
Did the staff person card the person asking for alcohol? Did they ask for an ID?
Oh yeah, we did check the ID, but just did the wrong math for calculation the age.
Did the wrong math?
Yeah,
Got it.
that's right.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, Justin.
I think Councilmember Osmus is questioning that because the driver's license itself is going to look different. You shouldn't even have to do the math. If you've gone through the training, it'll be very clear to recognize the proper license for someone that's of age to purchase alcohol and someone that's not. So again, I think the importance of the training for your staff and for you to be able to explain to staff that haven't been through the training the very clear difference, so you don't have to do the math. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Audrey?
I'm just curious, with violations, can we just require them that they have to go through the class? We can't.
I don't believe so because I let the attorney answer because some places do their own training.
At this stage, when a establishment has a violation, the first violation, the ordinance requires them to come explain the circumstances and measures to avoid future violations to the city council. The city council does have the authority to, at any stage here, impose a fine or initiate license suspension or revocation proceedings. The ordinance only contains a schedule of the minimum punishments for each offense. So, but those are really the council's tools are to receive the explanations from the business owners on a first offense and consider a fine or some sort of suspension or revocation proceeding.
I need a refresher because it's been a while since we adopted this process. What's if they have another violation within the 3 years? Then what?
The ordinance would provide a minimum punishment of a $1,000 fine for a second violation within 3 years.
Okay.
And there's the same thing. Third violation would be a $2,000 fine, minimum punishment prescribed by the ordinance. So on up to the fifth and subsequent violations would be, I think at that point, subject to city council initiation of a license suspension or revocation.
Okay. Thank you. All right, you understand?
Yeah,
Okay, any other questions? Well, thank you for coming.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, next is approving the final plans and specifications for the outdoor rink pavilion and authorize advertising for bids. Rob?
Thank you, Mayor, member of the council. Tonight, looking to adopt a resolution approving the final plans and specifications for the outdoor rink pavilion and authorize advertisement for bids. I have a short PowerPoint presentation just to kind of give us an idea of the project and kind of where we started to where we are right now. So back in April 15th of this year, the council introduced an ordinance to reallocate leftover contingency funds from the Lawson sales tax project for the outdoor rink pavilion. The ordinance was passed on May 6th, giving the event/rec center a new budget of 1.59. On June 3rd, the city has then passed a resolution to work with Bolton and Mink to develop the plans and specifications for the outdoor rink for $164,493. So the overall budget for the project is right around $1.42 million. So staff worked with Bolton and Mink on the project, and we came up with a base bid of having the concrete ribbon, which is basically a cement border that will be able to hold the boards and the glass. It'd be a gravel rink surface and gravel outside perimeter, a fabric roof system with the steel framing, lighting, all the electrical that needs to be done for it, grass restoration, stormwater management improvement. And then when we talk about the dashboards, you can buy that through the state cooperative purchase agreement. So that will be separate from the project. That would be us as a city would buy that and work with the installer with that as well. And then we'll talk about some of the alternates that we've had for the project. So again, it'll be the base bid that we'll have, and that total came to being with the dasher boards would be at that $1.4 million. If we look at the base bid plus alternate number 1, which would be basically putting concrete inside of the rink, we're looking at $1.58 million. Now, if we want to put concrete inside and on the outside of the rink, we're estimating that to be about 1.7 million. And we also looked at if we did an asphalt inside the rink, that'd be $1.48 million. And then if we did asphalt inside and outside, it'd be $1.53 million. There are also additional city costs with the soil borings. There would be no cost to that because it was already done with the event/rec center project. We did look at the construction contingency of $63,400. Typically, the city holds at 10%, but we felt like with this project here, with the background that we have on that area of land, that a 5% contingency fund would be appropriate. Surveying costs of $6,000, and then construction testing, which would be basically testing the concrete, or it would be $12,000. So an additional city costs of $81,400. So when we look at an overview of what the project would look like, as you'll see in the pack on the screen here, you'll see the Blue Line Arena where the event center is at and where the outdoor rink would be located, be right off to the west of the Blue Line Arena. And the relocation of Stormwater Pond would just be south of that. It's sized for the outdoor rink right now, but it can be upsized at that current location if the curling facility ever comes in, which is west of the parking lot. Here's a picture of what one of the legacy building with the fabric roof looks like here when they're doing the construction of it, and then when it's at night as well. So staff toured the legacy building over in South Haven by Kimball. We were really impressed with how this fabric system would work. It's got a 25-year life warranty on it. And for this application, it's probably our best route to go besides having a seal roof. Free to ask any questions.
Tom?
Some of the bids are over than what, was allowed there. Did Matt Dawson say how they were gonna make up the difference or anything like that?
Yeah, they know that they're going to have to, if depending on what alternate, if we can get the base bid, which is pretty close to what the budget is, then they know that they're going to have to look at if they want to get the concrete in on the inside and outside, or the asphalt, they're going to have to look at fundraising opportunities. So, the other part about it, and if it's gravel, you can look to the future and say, all right, could they get it refrigerated? That's something else that they can think about too. Because once you put the concrete in, you're not going to ever get it refrigerated.
Thank you, Mayor Reese. You made a comment about the dasher boards needing to be purchased by the city. And is that just through it would be purchased as part of this?
Yes, it would be like similar to what we do with other sales tax projects, like say the sound system. We bought it so there wouldn't be the upcharge from the contractor doing it. We could do it ourselves. We can strictly work with Becker Arena Products, and they would furnish the boards and the labor to put them in, so we won't have to work with the general contractor to do that.
But the money would come out of the local option sales tax?
Correct.
Okay, there is cost of $81,400 right now that you're saying the city would owe?
Yep, that's our contingency.
Is that the money you're talking about that they have to raise in order to do this?
No, that would still have to come out of the 1.4 million that we have.
But there isn't room for it to come out of there.
It all depends on how the bids will be coming in. I knew this project was going to be tight, so.
I have my serious doubts that you're gonna be able to keep it within the 1.4, but we'll find out. But if it goes over the 1.4,
then we're going to have to make decisions.
as like what?
Not to approve the project or to look at what we want to do with the additional dollars.
Okay.
And then the bid, if approved, it'll go out for bid here real quick, and it'd be January 23rd that we would have the bid opening.
Vicky?
In your opinion, do you think it would be better to go with gravel so that in the future we could make upgrades?
I would say if we do a gravel base right now, it gives us the best option to put for fundraising dollars to put concrete back in. It's probably our best alternative for that, because then what comes first? Does the roof come first, or does that concrete's the easiest thing to add back in?
Okay, and then with gravel, is it going to be usable in the summertime, do you think?
Not as much.
Okay.
So our goal would be to try to get at least the gravel inside, or the concrete inside the rink, or
Okay.
asphalt.
Yeah, all right.
So it's multi-purpose.
The alternate uses will be able to function on gravel.
Pardon me?
Most of the alternate uses.
Correct.
Wouldn't be able to function on gravel.
Correct.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
What do you see as alternate uses?
Well, there can be just any type of dry land type of stuff, farmers markets, you can name it, what can ever go underneath the roof. I mean, we actually thought about putting pickleball courts in there if we have the space.
Okay, so, but
in the surface.
Other than some other sport, gravel would work to have a farmer's market or to have.
It could.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would be really packed down. So, I mean, there would be somewhat a hard surface there.
Yes,
just one more question. Who put together these base bids? Who put this together?
The team members of Bolton and Mink.
Okay.
Julie?
Wasn't the Blue Line Center gravel for a number of years?
Yes, before I came on, yes, it was gravel.
Okay.
And I believe the fairgrounds was also gravel.
Rick?
So which bid does the hockey people want?
They would do the base bid right now. I would probably imagine that they would like to have the concrete inside the rink.
So our new compressor, would that work? No? It's only for 2 rinks? Because we had looked at 3, but.
Yep, we looked at 3 and decided not to do it.
Well, if you put concrete in, you're not gonna put.
You're not gonna be able to put the piping.
Nope. Audrey?
Just a question. Have we looked at what operational costs we would be looking at for your department to do this?
A little bit, it's more gonna be the man hours of just making the ice, and everything. Depends on if we wanna keep the boards up and everything throughout the summer. We'd probably keep them up because we don't have a place to store them right now. But we look at it too, as far as Zamboni, we do Zamboni at 1 time a day, because it's going to take a little bit of staff time to drive the Zamboni out, clean the wheels, get on the ice, bring it back, clean the wheels off, everything like that. So we can get it done within our workday. It's just going to be a little bit more time to get the ice made, depending on what the weather's like.
How would you do that? You gotta flood it and let it freeze and then bring the Zamboni in over the top of it?
Once it gets to about, we would probably want about 1.5 inches of ice to put the Zamboni in there. So we get it metered with the fire hydrant and pour it as fast as we can.
1.5 inches of ice, gravel, isn't that gonna, that Zamboni's heavy.
So we keep our ice at the civic center at about at 1 inch.
That's concrete. Julie?
Did you explain the fabric roof?
What would you like to know?
What is that?
It's a PVC type of material. It's translucent, so we'd be able to have the sun come through.
Okay.
That will help with the lighting during the day, but it deflects the heat, so the ice will not feel the heat on it. I would say it's similar to like what a salt shed is like. That's at Public Works or at MnDOT right now.
Okay.
That type of business.
So it's not fabric, it's like a fabric plastic.
Yes, it's very strong.
Okay.
Lower on it.
I'm like, why do we have a fabric?
A lot of people are going that route just because so it doesn't get rusted.
Sure. Okay.
All right, well, we don't have a motion yet to approve the final plans and specs.
Another question.
Yes, Rick.
So do you have to use the Zamboni to do the ice?
No, we do not have to use the Zamboni to make ice. We just do it to help resurface that one. So when the kids are out there skating it and chew it up, we'd either have to go back out there with our hose to do it, or we take the Zamboni to resurface it.
We don't use the Zamboni at Garfield.
Correct. We have the public works trucks that come and water it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want to use those trucks out there just because with the glass in there, if it hits a board, we're probably replacing a piece of glass or denting the boards. So it'd have to be done by hand.
But you got boards up at Garfield, you got 2 sets.
That's wood. These ones are going to move with the plastic and glass.
These are fiberglass then, or?
They're plastic. They're steel frame with a plastic panel on them. So very similar. That's in the blue line in the Cardinal Arena right now.
I've been really concerned about all the other things that we need to do and the things that we haven't been able to do in the CIP. I worry about us adding on, not being able to finish some things that have been listed as safety items on some of the other local option sales tax projects. And I'm just not sure we agreed to set this money for there. Do we have to go forward with this to advertise the bids or not?
I say that's right.
I'd like to make a motion approving the final plans and specifications for the outdoor rink and authorize advertisement for bids.
Second.
We got a motion and a second discussion. Audrey.
I'd still like an answer to my question that I asked. Do we have a responsibility since we set those funds aside? We almost have to go through with getting the bids to see whether we can do this or not.
Are you asking me that
Yes.
personally?
Mhm.
I think so.
Okay.
Julie?
I just feel like the Hockey Association did a lot to promote and get the local option sales tax passed. They did door to door with the expectation that they thought there was going to be a third sheet of ice in there, or locker rooms. I mean, there was going to be some enhancement to the hockey program. And I feel like everybody else got their little piece of the pie. I just feel like the Hockey Association, the hockey people, this is a good way that we were able to allocate the leftover money to go for this project. I think it needs to be done.
I know there are other people lining up that think that they didn't get the piece of the pie either that they were promised. And so, we made this commitment. I think we have to get the bids and see whether we can actually do this or not. And if we can't, then we go back to the drawing board in my mind, so.
And we pivot.
Anybody else? Carl?
So if the bids come in over, is Hockey Association willing to do more to try to cover to get this done, or how does that work then?
Well, there would be a conversation that we would need to have with the Hockey Association and the Booster
All right.
I'll just ask one more question. After going through the CIP, I don't know how we can sit up here and say that we could come up with more money than what this is. So I think we have other responsibilities to other things. So I think see where we come from, but I think if they can come up with a difference, and what's the time frame that they could do that in?
have that conversation with.
I share your concern. We've got so many things that we're dealing with, and I'm like I said earlier, I'm afraid to find out what it's going to cost to build this. I don't think it's going to be 1.4 million. Tom?
Matt Dawson and everybody that's working on this loss put a lot of time and effort into this. This is one of the things that when Matt Dawson was here, he showed a picture. That's what they're out marketing for. When Matt Dawson was here last time in front of the council, requesting for us to kind of move forward with this, he also said that they would go out there and fundraise for whatever it went over with. All we have to do is put this out for bid. That's what we're looking for now. Let's put it out for bid, see where it comes in for. If it comes in at $1.8 million, I'm sure Rob's going to have Matt Dawson and other people here saying, no, we can't afford this, or yes, we're going to be able to come up with the other money to get this done. So I just think we just need to move on with the vote to put this out for bid, and we'll wait and see what the bids come in at.
Anybody else? Roll call.
Councilmember Osmus,
Aye.
Butterfield,
Aye.
O'Brien,
Aye.
Osk,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Schultes,
Aye.
and Fagerly.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 noes.
That passes. Thank you, Rob. We'll go on to the cannabis ordinance overview and call on Operations Director Kyle Box.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bear with me one moment while I get software back on the screen. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, tonight in your council packets included an overview of what to expect here for a couple of ordinances that will be coming before you in January. Previously, we had spoken about having an introduction of both a regulation, a registration regulating ordinance, as well as a zoning and land use ordinance. Time came against staff, and we just didn't have enough time to make all the necessary changes, and especially with updates coming from Office of Cannabis Management last week with their process being delayed. We also thought it was appropriate to make sure that the ordinance that is introduced to the City Council is correct and up to date as possible as well. So in your packet, I did include a PowerPoint which I'll pull up on the screen. Just to kind of give a council overview of what to expect here in the coming months. So what we'll be looking at in the future with our ordinance is that Minnesota law allows for 13 different types of business licenses, each fulfilling a unique role in the cannabis and hemp industry supply chain. In addition to license types on your screen, the Office of Cannabis Management, or OCM, will also issue endorsements to license holders to engage in specific activities, including producing, manufacturing, and the sale of medical cannabis for patients. Of those licenses of those 13 types, I really want to focus on 5 license types tonight. Once the licensing process begins, and of these are the retail licenses, so these would be the potential licenses that the City Council will have, that the City of Willmar will be looking at for retail, zoning, and land use when it comes to specifically the retail side of it. So once the licensing process begins, the city's registration process will apply to the licensed cannabis retailers seeking to conduct the retail sales here in the City of Willmar. Several license types are authorized to conduct retail sales, and those are listed on your screen. But prior to conducting sales, their business license will require, or the state law requires that the business receive local registration or consent from the city before they can move forward. So there are 5 license types that are eligible to conduct cannabis retail activity, which will receive authorization from the city, or approval from the city. So what is the local approval process? It's limited. So state law allows us to have 2 main portions of where local governments can impose local registration. So the first is local certification in the zoning compliance. So it's following the OCM vetting process. The local government must certify that the applicant has preliminary approval and has achieved compliance with local zoning ordinances, and that's what we'll be bringing back to the council here at the first meeting in January. The second part of that is the local retail registration process. So again, once that licensing process begins with the state, the local government, registration process applies to those retailers seeking to conduct sales within the city. So a section of the draft ordinance here that we'll be recommending to the City Council. So again, state law allows for a few different areas for the city to be flexible on, but one of the areas is that there needs to be a minimum number of retail businesses allowed within the city, or it's based off of population. So as you can see, that's 1 retail location based off of every 12,500 population. So the City of Willmar's minimum number for retail cannabis businesses is 2. And that will be the recommendation that will be brought from staff to the City Council, is that the city shall limit the number of cannabis retail businesses to 2, and we'll put a caveat in there for any future discussion or direction from the City Council that would exclude any potential municipal cannabis retail business. It's not necessarily saying that the city is going to have one, but the language is in there. The City Council wishes to pursue that option, and we're leaving that in there. I will note that any municipal business does not count towards that minimum number. So let's say Willmar, if the number is 2 as a minimum and the city explores to have a municipal business, 3 businesses would be located in the City of Willmar. Continuing on to the zoning and land use, some of the other areas that are allowed in statute are the minimum buffer requirements. These buffer requirements are the maximums that are allowed in statute, and which we'll be exploring and likely recommending here in ordinance as well. So as you can see, the city would prohibit any operation of retail businesses within 1,000 feet of a school, 500 feet of a daycare, 500 feet of a residential treatment facility, and 500 feet from any public attraction, parks or playgrounds, athletic fields, any outdoor areas that are frequently used by minors. Continuing on, specifically on the cannabis business retail portion of it, we will be restricting those areas with as a conditional use permit only within the general business districts 1, 2, and 3, as well as the central business district. Just as a kind of an overview of what that looks like. So the general business district is the purple, orange, and blue on your screen, and the central business district is the green. What's not noted on here is the location of residential treatment facilities, schools, daycares. That's part of the local approval process. They're the preliminary inspections that staff will be doing as we receive applications from OCM or potential applicants. So that'll be that process as well. So the upcoming or the proposed timeline, again, this came from OCM last week, the 11th. Originally, the lottery process or the state process was going to had started. It was challenged or at the Court of Appeals and has stayed. District Court, I believe, has stayed, and now that process is changing for OCM. So realistically, the lottery process for any local or any applicants will be May to June 2025, as indicated by the Office of Cannabis Management. The January and February and March dates, those will apply strictly to those. As you can see, if any social equity applicants had applied or a review. So that's just explaining that process to them. But the date that we're focused on this slide is the May-June, which was when we can expect any licensing to begin from the state as their most up-to-date tentative timeline. The city timeline, a little bit more focused here. So December, we'll be working on a finalized local registration and zoning ordinance, as well as completing the local government cannabis licensing contact and delegation forms that we need to complete with this Office of Cannabis Management. That will be completed before the end of this year. The January 13th council meeting will be introducing 2 ordinances. Council will set those 2 public hearings. And on February 3rd, council will hold those public hearings and will be asked to adopt those ordinances. Any questions?
So regarding the lottery, do municipalities have to be part of the lottery too?
My understanding is they are not part of the social equity applicant lottery. They would be a part of the general lottery or the general applicant field. And to my knowledge, that is a very limited amount of retail licenses that would be issued throughout the state. I think in the 30s was the number that I most recently saw, that outside of social equity applicants, they'd be approving up to 37, 38 other retail applicants. Okay. So it's still I don't necessarily know if it's a guarantee if the city would like to move in that direction, if the state would authorize that. But Robert, if you know any different, please correct me. But I believe that's our understanding as of right now, is that even if we were to move forward with a municipal dispensary, we would still have to go through the exact same process as all the other general applicants.
Okay, thank you.
Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if you have 3 parties that want to have a store in Willmar, how do you choose?
That's a great question, Councilmember Fagerly. The decision is not up to the city of Willmar for 2025. So all the licensing will be conducted by the state of Minnesota, the Office of Cannabis Management. We will be notified of who those businesses will be, and we will work directly with those businesses to make sure that they meet local requirements.
So you can't get into a bidding war then?
It's not up to, that's part of the lack of local control of the ordinance. I mean, we can set our limited regulations and licensing review process. That's not even a license review process. It's a registration review. Local zoning is what the cities and counties will be able to do. But picking applicants, that will not be up to cities.
What if there's a house, a gathering, or a church? Does that matter for distance?
Yeah, so what we'll be doing is we'll be working, staff will be compiling and getting a map of all of those buffer zones or those things that would trigger those buffer zones, and that will be part of our initial review process to make sure that they're within X amount of feet of any of those facilities, whether it's schools.
When they begin operation, then if someone moves in after, then it,
Yes, that is also a great question. Yes, if something was to be constructed after the fact, would not be allowed to move or close their business down. They could stay in place.
Audrey?
Thank you, Mayor Reese. Would you review the number again? I think you said you're recommending 2. But if we decided there were 3 that we wanted, could we change it to 3?
The council can set this number anything higher than 2. There's
There-
not a maximum, there is only a minimum.
Okay, and the minimum is 2?
Minimum for the city of Willmar is 2. And
Okay.
that is dictated by statute,
I'm not,
based off of population.
not suggesting that we do that, but if we had 3 that was beneficial to the city, I'm just curious, so.
The council at any time through ordinance amendment can make that change.
Thank you.
so it would be like Wilmer back in the 70s when you had 10 or 12 liquor stores off sale. And then you just wait till they alter. Now we're down to what, 4 or 5? Could be the same thing.
Yeah, I will say this too. This is obviously new for the state. It's very new for cities. I'm comfortable saying that we will likely be revisiting this ordinance a time or two as things progress. Unless the council has any recommendations for what was discussed tonight, this is more or less the draft format that we will be presenting in January.
For information only tonight.
Information only tonight, yes.
Anything else, council? Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council.
All right. From cannabis to liquor. We've got the Sunday liquor license renewals for 2025. Call on City Clerk Renee Larson.
So tonight, we're looking for approval by the council to approve the Sunday liquor licenses for all applicants listed, with the exception of Finstead Week Post 1639, that is the BFW. They did decide at the last minute to not renew their Sunday liquor license, so they will not be looking to have that be open on Sundays for liquor sales.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Otherwise, all the list people on the list or the businesses on the list are just looking for renewals. They all currently hold a Sunday liquor license and are just looking for a renewal.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We got a motion and we got a second. Discussion. Hearing none. Roll call.
Councilmember Butterfield.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Schultes.
Aye.
Baggerly.
Aye.
And Osmus.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 noes.
That passes. Next is the sale of THC products 2025 license renewals. Again, City Clerk Renee Larson.
Again, these establishments currently hold a THC license. Given the renewal process is coming due now and the uncertainty of how that's going to look into 2025, we are having THC license holders renew their license so that they can continue to sell THC products in the city of Willmar into 2025 until the statute or the law changes their regulation. So these following stores are looking for renewal of their license. There are no new applicants on this list.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. Roll call.
Councilmember O'Brien.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Schultes.
Aye.
Baggerly.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
And Butterfield.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 noes.
That passes.
Next is a community center task force update. We met with the YMCA board on Wednesday, the 11th, and the Y board has looked at the possible project, and they are not in a position to look at funding the project, financing the project, and they have withdrawn their support for the community center to be located. So we need to make a decision on, this is just me, we need to make a decision what we're going to do. That's evident, but I think what we need to do is contact Marcus Construction, say, evaluate the current building, tell us what you could do, if anything, and tell us what it would cost, and go from there. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but yeah, Justin.
I was on the task force that worked on this. I'm trying to remember. Wasn't there an alternative recommendation? Was there only one recommendation from the task force?
I don't remember, Tom. Do you? Yeah,
That's what I thought.
I think we had Lincoln and Gesh.
Gesh over Lincoln, according to the task force. Yeah.
Audrey?
I feel like we're back at square one and we just need to review our options. And you know, what can we do with the community center? What can't we do? What financially we can do with City Hall? And I think we're back to sitting down and deciding what's important to this community.
Anybody else? Mike? I agree with the mayor. I think the community center is a good place to look at to find out exactly what the costs are. And like you say, Marcus, come in or take a look at it and see what the construction costs would be. We've done this enough. It's time. Julie?
Don't we have to put that out for bids? No, we can just, okay.
It's professional services.
Okay.
Just clarification, are you talking about going back to our original plan to build City Hall and the community center at the community center location? That's not what you're talking about.
No, I'm just talking about the community center itself.
See, and I think this council needs to decide what's more important to this community. The community center is taking first place right now, and we're sitting with not knowing with what we're going to do with City Hall. And I think the council has to make a decision. Can we do both, or do we
I'm
just
not saying we're going to do the community center. I think we need to find out what can be done at what cost, and then we can look at.
At the current location, just updating the
Yes.
community center? Okay, all right.
We don't know.
Just seeking clarification because we've put City Hall on hold and we've put the community center on hold to wait for this. Now we know. So what are we going to do? I think it deserves a conversation with both.
Yeah, I agree. Anybody else? All right. Any community pride announcements? No.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Reese.
And we've got 2 council members that
This is their last official meeting.
Yee-hoo.
It is.
Mayor, I'd also like to remind the council that our first council meeting will be January 13th. Due to the charter, we have to have our first organizational meeting the first Monday after the first Tuesday. And then following week is a holiday on Monday, so we will be meeting on Tuesday, the 21st. That's our January schedule.
All right. Well, thank you, Julie and Mike, for your service to our community.
Yes.
You've
Yes.
done a good job.
It's it's really been a pleasure. It's been a good 8 years. We've accomplished a lot in this city. We have a lot to be proud of. We have a lot to be thankful for. I go back. I mean, it started with Robbins Island, and we used to always say that that was a diamond in the rough. And 7 years ago, we put in a playground. And since then, with the local option sales tax, thanks to some very dedicated citizens that had a vision, had a dream, and did some really great things, made great things happen for the city. But with the pavilions that went up there and the shelters and Rock and Robbins and hopefully for an amphitheater coming up in the future, Robbins Island is just incredible. And we're so blessed to have that in our community. And, just other building projects in the last 4 years, I think we've had $240 million in building projects. Any community would be beyond thrilled to have that kind of growth. And so between like West Central Steel and Ziegler Cat and FedEx, these are huge businesses that build. And then you look at our apartment complexes. I wouldn't have thought 8 years ago that we would have the apartment complexes we have, and that there would be waiting lists, and that they would be filled. Yeah, I remember when Herzog first came with his 4-building proposal out on County Road 5, and I'm like, how is he going to build all those apartment buildings? And no, there was a need, and they did get filled, and it's been great. The Y project, I wasn't involved. I think that started 13 or 15 years ago, and I wasn't really closely involved with that whole project. But that has had such a significant impact on our city, and the rail park is going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. And so when you talk about build it and they will come, that's the rail park, and we're lucky. Again, we're blessed, we're fortunate to be in such a great city, and I'm looking forward to sitting on the sidelines and and watching what's to come. But thank you. We have great staff. We have great departments. That is part of what makes this such a great city. And I'm glad for the opportunity to have served. Thank you.
Julie, you will be missed. We have made great strides, you're right. And I have other people that come to Willmar and they say, boy, you've got a vibrant community. Wonderful. So, Mike, we're going to miss you. Yeah, ditto for what she said. I'm not going through all that.
There's a Vikings game going on.
I'll make one comment. The difference in Robbins Island. I used to work deer shiners on that park. You believe it or not? It's come a long ways. I do really appreciate working with the city staff and with the council and all the people involved. And just because we're retired doesn't mean we quit. So we're good. Thank you. When you talk about Robbins Island, when I first came to town and working for the engineering department, and we were dredging our Foot Lake. Robbins Island just had a small little road. You couldn't even meet another car on it that drove out to the island. And we pumped all that in up on our well field, where our well field is now. We pumped in where Hadeen Park is. We pumped in next to that road, the beach, pumped that all full. And look at what that's done.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah. All right. Well, which one of you two are going to move to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right. We're adjourned. Thank you.